Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1524B, and today's date is March 18th, 2018, and the title of the episode is Boom, 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 Time to Bring Down the Deep State. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded an interview with Bernie Suarez. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight, and it will bring you to the interview. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com site, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, you'll see the video there. Or you can go to newssentinel.com, same thing, scroll down, look over to your right, you'll see the video there, and you can play the interview right on the site. Or you can go to Steemit, that is steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the draining of the deep state swamp is continuing. We see McCabe, he was fired right before he turns 50, where he's not getting his pension. And I see the corporate media is making a really big deal about this because they don't really want to explain why he was fired, what they found, what was all about the firing. All they're talking about is the pension. Now, the Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz, as well as the FBI Disciplinary Office, had found that Mr. McCabe had made an unauthorized disclosure to the news media and lacked candor, including under oath on multiple occasions. So McCabe was involved in leaks, and he lied under oath. Now, we can see that the corporate media, they don't want to let on to what's really happening right here. And yes, we're seeing a lot of firings. We're seeing a lot of people being removed, and people are questioning, like, why is Trump bringing in this person? Because each individual is set up for a specific purpose. And as you can see, it's very difficult to judge and understand who is who and how they react. And when you set up certain situations, you can see the true nature of these individuals. I mean, one minute, if you say something about Russia, you can see how they react against Russia and what their true motives are. If you look at Nikki Haley, all you have to do is say chemical attack, and she says Assad, Russia, there's going to be chemical attacks in New York. You can see where she stands. It's very, very simple. And what we're seeing right now is the corporate media is all over this, and they're talking about these memos that he has. All this is propaganda. Everything the corporate media right now is putting out there, it's trying to make you think that they're in the right and what Trump is doing is completely wrong, because they really don't want you to dig deep into what is happening here. And what is happening right now is they're going after each and every one of these individuals. They're not firing them just to fire them. They have facts, they have evidence, and they have documentation. And the deep state understands this. They're very worried about this. Actually, a law professor came out and said McCabe might have just thrown Comey under the bus for perjury. Now, this is what the law professor Turley said. There was one line in the case statement last night that I immediately flagged, because he said that he had authority to do this, and he conferred with the director. The director at the time was James Comey. Now, the problem there is that James Comey said under oath that he never leaked information and never approved a leak. So if the Inspector General believes this was a leak to the media, it raises serious questions about Comey's previous testimony and could get him into serious trouble. Now, we can see that there are other individuals within government who most likely are completely corrupt. They understand what is happening right here. They might be implicated in this, and they're trying to bail out McCabe right now by saying, don't worry, we'll get you another job, we'll get you your full pension, we'll help you out. And I think what's happening right now is these individuals realize what's happening, and they're trying to make it seem like nothing's happening. But I think what's going to happen as time goes on and documentation comes out and the facts come out, they're going to start turning on each other, and this is going to get very, very messy. Here's a fun fact. Rosenstein had to approve Mueller's request for a subpoena to investigate Trump Organization. That speaks volumes. Should Rosenstein be next? Absolutely. Now, Q is putting out there, and he had post 953, where he laid out a lot of numbers. Number one, number two, said FBI past and present, how bad is the corruption? And if we look at number one, Comey. The corruption is bad with Comey. Another number one is Mueller. A number 2 is McCabe. And he put down numbers like 29, 16, most likely 29 indictments, 16 arrested. Department of Justice, past and present, Holder, Lynch, Rosenstein, all going to be brought down. And he had the number plus 18. 18 or more indictments, state, past and present. Number 1, Clinton. Number 1, Kerry. Plus 41, over 41 indictments. Removal is the least of their problems. Projection, military tribunal, cover story was telling a lie about what they were doing. And we can see right now that these individuals getting fired and removed from their position is going to be the least of their problems. Flynn was the target. What did he learn? Well, he learned of massive law breaking using military intelligence, NSA. That's why they went after Flynn. Flynn eventually is going to be cleared of all charges. We're also going to learn about election theft. Ryan, McConnell, Pelosi, Schumer worked together to shift House and Senate Dem for impeach throwing elections. I mean, it's not just the Democrats, it's the Republicans. It's both sides. There's corruption everywhere. And when we look at this, we can see that this whole thing is one gigantic corruption organization. And the deep state, as he keeps saying, the deep state thinks of the people as sheep, as deplorables, as Clinton said. And when they have false flags like 9/11, these shootings, everything else, they believe that we're expendable. They just use us for what they need. And right now, as Q said, tick-tock, tick-tock, the clock is ticking down right now. And I don't think we're going to be waiting years. I think what we're going to see happen in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see indictments. We're going to see people being brought in and questioned. We're going to see people arrested. I think this is just the beginning. Now, we understand that Trump fired Tillerson and Mike Pompeo took his place. Now, Q is out there saying Mike Pompeo is his guy. I mean, is this true? This is what Q is saying. We also understand that the Deputy Director CIA is moving up and taking Pompeo's place, and that's Haspel. And what's very interesting about this, and they keep talking about torture. I mean, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic, CNN, they're all out there with headlines saying that will Trump's new CIA pick denounce torture programs she was a part of? And they all have the same type of headlines. And when you look at what has been done here, you start to realize that they already prepared this well in advance, and they're running with maybe fake news. Because when we go back to 2017, a report by Soros-backed news outlet ProPublica, and to a lesser extent, a similar report in the New York Times, claimed that Trump's new pick to lead the CIA, Gina Haspel, she oversaw the base in Thailand where she participated and mocked the torture of the suspected al-Qaeda leader. Now, what's very interesting about this is they put the story out in all the corporate media, they went after it, and then later on, the claims were retracted by ProPublica in an embarrassing correction. So this is very interesting because it looks like they put out propaganda, they let the corporate media pick it up, and then quietly they corrected the story where they really said that she was not part of this. And what's very interesting about this is it looks like they're using this information right now to make it seem like she shouldn't be in this position. And they're most likely going to do this with Pompeo. And how did ProPublica get this information? Well, the conclusion was drawn from a declassified agency cable, and CIA reviewed books which refer to Haspel, chief of base. But the name of the official was redacted, as well as an online post from CIA counterterrorism officer John Kirakaus, who wrote it was Haspel who oversaw the staff at the Thai prison. But the name was redacted, and nobody could prove that this was actually her. So the redacted cables and a book, which did not state the name of the base chief, and an online post by a CIA counterterrorism officer said it was Haspel. But they have no proof. It was completely made up. So we can see how the news is put out there. It's quietly retracted. And the corporate media just goes with it. And the public hears this and they say, yeah, look what's going on here. Now, Trump has instructed the CIA not to interfere with the Russian elections, and it looks like Putin right now is once again the president of Russia. And we can see at this point, it looks like Trump is trying to take control of the CIA. He's moving to take control of the FBI. I don't think he has gotten that far as of yet. Once Mueller is gone and he has his people in place, the FBI will be then controlled. And we can see he's going to need control of all these departments, the NSA, control of the CIA, control of the FBI. All of this has to be brought in and tamed to make sure that he can do his next phase. And I think this is what is happening right now. Because we could see right now out in the Middle East, things are definitely falling apart. The Turkey forces, they have captured the Syrian Kurdish town of Afrin right now. They are saying that they have total control of that area. And we know that the U.S. is removing a lot of military assets from the Incirlik air base in Turkey. And we can see the Washington Post, which is very interesting, revealed that Trump is attempting to get funds from Saudi Arabia to foot the bill for post-war construction, reconstruction, and stabilization projects in the area of Syria. They want $4 billion. And by doing this, Trump would like the troops to be removed from Syria, and Saudi Arabia could take their place. Now, we know this is not going to happen. We know that Syria is not going to allow Saudi Arabia to bring in troops and to control the area. Russia is not going to allow this to happen. I think what is happening right now is that Trump realizes what has happened in the Middle East. I mean, we have destroyed these countries. And when I say we, it's not we, the people, it's the deep state. Spent trillions of dollars in these ridiculous wars for the deep state, for the central banks. And Trump right now is maneuvering to get the troops out of Syria, get the troops out of Iraq. And I think we've already seen the beginning stages of all this. Military assets being removed from Incirlik. Troops are going to be removed from Syria because right now they're in the process of planning and removing the troops from these areas. And I think within the next month or two, we're going to hear that troops are coming out of Syria right now. Now, at the same time, we have Lavrov out there, and he is out there screaming and yelling that we must stop the U.S. from partitioning Syria, Iraq, and the Middle East. Now, what's very interesting about this, they're out there broadcasting this, letting the world know this was the plan. And this needs to be stopped. And I think what Trump is going to do, along with Russia, along with Syria and the rest, they're going to be pulling the troops out of this area. And all this is part of a coordinated effort. And I do believe that the troops will be coming out because we can see all signs that this is definitely going to happen because there's no reason for the United States to be in there anymore. Now, the deep state is going to be struggling, flailing in this area because they're paid mercenary army. And I'm not talking about the U.S. forces. I'm talking about the Islamic State, al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, and the rest. Well, guess what? They are done with. They don't have anything to work with. The funding for the Kurds cut off. The funding, the training for the moderate rebels cut off. All the oil funding from the Islamic State, selling the oil into Turkey, gone. The poppy fields in Afghanistan being shut down. The funding from those drugs that are coming out of there being completely obliterated. The funding is being cut off. Plus, Trump put out the executive orders. Those drug dealers, well, they might get the death penalty. Think about this for a second. We know who the drug runners are. It's the CIA. Why do you think he put that out there? It's not for Joe Schmo on the streets of New York selling pot or anything like that. It's for the big time organizations like the CIA and the rest who sell these drugs covertly, pretend it's other groups. They're the ones who are going to be getting the death penalty. They're the ones who are going to be in a lot of trouble. Remember, the war on drugs is not about stopping drugs. It's about stopping the competition of the CIA. That's what that was all about. And we see right now that there is a major, major push to bring the troops home, to bring military assets out of this area, and to get the rest of the deep state. I mean, you can see the boom, 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 as Q would say. Every time you see something else happening, it's another boom. We see right now the deep state, well, they are not finished as of yet, because we already see the warnings out there that Russia might use a chemical attack in New York City. We know it's not going to be Russia. There might be some type of cyber attack within the United States. They've been making that perfectly clear, because Russia has been hitting the infrastructure since 2016. They also made the point that it's North Korea that they've been testing their weapons against the power infrastructure, the financial institutions here in the United States. They're making it perfectly clear what they're going to do, because remember, all these individuals, they're not just going to sit there and say, oh, take me in, let me stand trial. They're going to run, or the other thing is suicide, which I don't think they're going to do, and that's like the last thing they'll do. Or the other thing is have an event, and I'm talking a huge event, and just create a distraction that just clogs up the news cycles, keeps everyone busy, and let Trump take the time to explain away why it's not Russia, why it's not North Korea, because the country would be in a complete mess. If they have, or they do have the ability to cyber attack, and I'm not talking about Russia or North Korea, I'm talking about the intelligence agencies, the deep state. We know that they have malware already in place. They throw a switch and everything goes into complete chaos. And everyone is screaming and yelling, power is out in this town, power is out in this city. It can't be the whole country, because you need the news to be out there. The financial institutions are down. I mean, think about what the White House would have to handle at this time. It would be complete chaos, and this would clog all the news cycles, and America, the people, would have to make heads and tail of this. I do believe this is what they're planning. This is their last-ditch attempt. When will it be? Well, it looks like we're getting very, very close to this point, because as more and more of these individuals are fired, more and more of these individuals are brought in, as they lose the Middle East and peace is being brought to all these different areas, they're not going to wait. They're going to push their agenda as hard as they possibly can. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.